Hi, my name is Dina Aronson, and today I'll be presenting about caffeine metabolism, CYP1A2, and pregnancy. Caffeine is a small molecule that's consumed around the world because it is a stimulant, and because it's so widely found in products that most people consume on a daily basis, such as coffee, tea, chocolate, and soda, it is possibly the most widely used psychoactive drug in the world. Has a number of adverse events that most people are familiar with, such as heartburn, diuretic at large doses, sleep disturbance, which is probably why most people consume it, and the side effect that we will be talking about later in this presentation, which is that when consumed by pregnant women, it can lead to low birth weight and miscarriage. Metabolism of caffeine usually begins almost immediately, and caffeine is cleared within 3 to 4 hours. And as a small molecule, it permeates all the tissues within the body, crosses the blood-brain barrier and the placenta. The metabolic pathway of caffeine has been well defined within the last 10 years, and as you can see from the graphic on the right, the enzyme that is involved in the primary metabolism is CYP1A2, and it is also involved in some portions of the secondary metabolism. And so that's pretty much the most important enzyme, I would say, in the metabolism of caffeine. There are, however, environmental factors that can also affect the metabolic rate of caffeine, and two of these factors are pregnancy, which has a slowing effect. So depending on which trimester you look at, that determines the size of the effect. In the third trimester, it can take about 18 hours to metabolize caffeine instead of 4. And smoking, which has the opposite effect and accelerates the metabolism of caffeine. CYP1A2 is cytochrome P54, family 1, subfamily A, polypeptide 2. It is a hepatic enzyme, which means that it is mostly active in the liver. And it metabolizes a number of xenobiotic substances, including Tylenol and other drugs. There are a number of genetic variations in this protein that have been identified over the last decade. The two that I have circled here are the ones that are the most well understood, and one is found in the actual enzyme coding region and is found amongst Japanese people. The percentage frequency here isn't listed, but from other reading it seems it's around 30%. And this variant causes the individuals to be slow metabolizers of caffeine. The other relatively common mutation that's well understood is in the intron region of the gene, and it's approximately 30% amongst Caucasians, and it causes those individuals to be fast metabolizers of caffeine. A side effect of being a fast metabolizer of caffeine may actually be a much greater risk of miscarriage in the first trimester. So there are two studies that we're going to look at. The first one was done in 2001 when genotyping wasn't available, but women were sorted into groups based on how quickly they metabolized the caffeine, and this was done by administering caffeine to them and testing their urine for metabolites, which indicated that the caffeine had been metabolized. And if you look at the table here, you can see that individuals who were average or below average rate metabolizers of caffeine were not at any greater risk of miscarriage, regardless of how many milligrams of caffeine they consumed while pregnant. Whereas individuals who were high metabolizers of caffeine, first of all, had a dose-dependent response to the caffeine, and also were much more significantly likely to have a miscarriage if they were high metabolizers. And this is a good approach to the study because there's been a lot of controversy about whether caffeine causes miscarriage or not, and it seems based on this study that that may depend on what population you're looking at and the prevalence of fast metabolizers in the population that you're studying. A second study that was done in 2005, where genotyping data was available, checked for the mutation that was found amongst 30% of Caucasians in the intron region that caused individuals to be high metabolizers of caffeine. So if you look at this table, you'll see that individuals who had at least one normal copy of this gene were not any likelier to have recurrent pregnancy loss if they consumed coffee. But individuals who had two bad copies of the gene, first of all, had a dose-dependent response based on how much caffeine they consumed, and second of all, were statistically likely to lose a pregnancy more than once. And here's my bibliography. So this seems like pretty conclusive evidence that if you know that you are a fast metabolizer of caffeine, then it's probably not a great idea to drink coffee while pregnant, and it's certainly not a good idea to smoke while pregnant if you needed another reason. Thank you.